One of the biggest events in the history of corporate finance is happening next week, and the market's not even talking about it.
Tesla just reaped a $500 million windfall thanks to its Bitcoin holdings and new accounting practices. It disclosed a $600 million mark-to-market benefit from Bitcoin on its net income. That increase is thanks to a change at the Financial Accounting Standards Board, which told companies to start measuring the value of their digital assets holding each quarter.
With the new FASB rules, Tesla marked up its Bitcoin holdings, and it booked a $600 million gain. That pushes shares up 4.2%, and it added nearly $50 billion worth of market cap to the company. When the FASB rules go into effect for MicroStrategy's next earnings call on February 5th, look out. MicroStrategy owns 45 times the amount of Bitcoin that Tesla does. You aren't ready for how high the MicroStrategy price is going to go for the Bitcoin alchemist. Can you imagine what will happen if Microsoft and Apple start adopting Bitcoin? Apple has $30 billion in cash on its balance sheet, and Microsoft has 20. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. Over the next 12 to 18 months, hundreds of companies are going to follow suit, which is going to send Bitcoin's price to the moon. Bitcoin corporate adoption is the most overlooked megatrend in the history of Bitcoin and corporate finance. This is a moment that we need to pay attention to. We got a lot to cover today. This is Dante Cook with Bitcoin Simply. Let's go.
Every day for the past 4 years, I've said, buy Bitcoin, don't sell the Bitcoin. I'm going to be buying more Bitcoin. I'm going to be buying Bitcoin at the top forever. I joked with Dave Portnoy today. He said, I missed it at 10,000. I missed it at 20,000. I missed it at 100,000. I said, Dave, it's still less than $1 million a coin. You're getting a 90% discount from $1 million a coin. I'm sure that I will be buying Bitcoin at $1 million a coin, probably $1 billion a day of Bitcoin at $1 million a coin. And so I think it's a very simple idea. It's just keep buying Bitcoin with your spare capital. It's going to appreciate against the dollar forever.
Even at $105,000 a coin, we're trading at a discount. And that discount is going away soon, in my opinion. Based on normal cycle behavior from 2016, 2017, and 2021 from cycle lows, it looks like Bitcoin's price is about to start taking off. And we already know what happens when you look at 4-year cycles. And I believe the thing that's going to kick it off is corporations like MicroStrategy marking up the Bitcoin value on their balance sheet and showing the rest of the corporations in the world how profitable and how valuable Bitcoin is as a balance sheet asset. According to BitcoinTreasuries.net, there are 78 publicly traded corporations that own over 618,000 Bitcoin. That's almost 3% of the total supply of Bitcoin. And that number will definitely increase after February 5th when MicroStrategy reports its fourth quarter earnings. And here's why. When you look at Tesla's earnings from yesterday, they had pretty miserable results. They missed on both the bottom and the top line. But the bright spot, there's $600 million markup in their Bitcoin holdings. With MicroStrategy holding 471,000 Bitcoin compared to Tesla's 10, MicroStrategy is projected to show profits in the billions of dollars, which will not only be the most profitable quarter in the company's history, its quarterly profits will likely be 5 to 10x larger than the entire company's market cap when it started buying Bitcoin in August of 2020. It's a no-brainer that companies should adopt this strategy. Even the Bank of Norway owns $500 million worth of MicroStrategy because it's employed a Bitcoin strategy. Let's contrast this with companies like Microsoft, who continue to disregard Bitcoin. Microsoft just reported earnings yesterday and had a 6% drop, marking one of the largest drops that it's had in recent memory. They're sitting on $20 billion in cash and paying out meaningless dividends, with not a lot of growth prospects on the horizon. Here's what Michael Saylor had to say about why they should add some corn.
So when you evaluate your options, you can plug in that same model, and I did it for Microsoft, and I looked at their business, I looked at their cash flows, and I looked at what happens if they convert their existing assets to Bitcoin, or if they sweep their dividends into Bitcoin, or they replace their buybacks with Bitcoin, or they just borrow a little bit of money cheap to buy Bitcoin. And what's the result? The result is if they just convert some of their spare cash, they make $155 a share. And if they replace the dividend, they make $362 a share. Right? And if they get rid of the buybacks, $477. So it's worth anywhere from $100 to $500 a share. Do they have to change their core business? Not at all. Right? The other catch is they double the value of the company. Right? What happens to the market cap of the company? Well, status quo is nothing good. That little change is worth $1 trillion. Right? If you go to full triple maxi, it's $5 trillion. Right? You can just be worth 8 trillion instead of 3 trillion or whatever. What's the downside? No, you just get rich. Okay, this is another way to see Microsoft. 5% of Microsoft's value is based upon its tangible assets, its actual liquid assets right now. 95% is based upon forward expectations. When you actually start to reinvest in Bitcoin, your stock is valued 41% on your assets and only 59% based on expectations. So conventional wisdom says value the company based on forward expectations, but you know, the richest people in the world aren't valued based on expectations of how hard they're going to work. Bernard Arnault and Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, they're not valued based on how hard they're going to work. They're valued based on what they own. Your family's valued based on. So why wouldn't you want to own something? Bitcoin is the thing to own.
And this is just one company. Apple also reported earnings yesterday. Over the last 3 years, Apple's revenue has only grown 0.3%. With negative year-over-year iPhone sales, this company is trading at 35 price to earnings ratio. Who's actually buying this? It's becoming a zombie company that's sitting on $30 billion worth of cash. Even Zuckerberg has said that this company hasn't innovated in years.
They haven't really invented anything great in a while. It's like Steve Jobs invented the iPhone, and now they're just kind of sitting on it 20 years later. And they actually, I think year over year, I'm not even sure they're selling more iPhones at this point. I think like the sales might actually be declining. I think part of it is that each generation, it doesn't actually get that much better. So people are just taking longer to upgrade than they would before. So the number of sales, I think, has generally been flat to declining. So how are they making more money as a company? Well, they do it by basically like squeezing people. And like you're saying, like having this 30% tax on developers by getting you to buy more peripherals and things that plug into it. They build stuff like AirPods, which are cool, but they've just thoroughly hamstrung the ability for anyone else to build something that can connect to the iPhone in the same way.
Speaking of Zuckerberg and Meta, they also have proposals along with Amazon to add Bitcoin on their balance sheet. But Meta and Amazon are 20 and 30 times larger than MicroStrategy, which is why Matt Hogan wrote in his latest CIO memo that this isn't just a fad for MicroStrategy. Over the next 12 to 18 months, this will turn into a mega trend. Before we keep going, let's recognize our show sponsors. Our first sponsor is Ledn, the leader in Bitcoin-backed loans. They allow you to unlock liquidity in your Bitcoin without selling your Bitcoin. Since 2018, they've issued over $6.5 billion worth of loans to tens of thousands of customers. Check out their reviews on Trustpilot and other review sites. They haven't lost a single sat. I've used their product personally to fund different business ventures that I've had with coin that I've stacked and held in cold storage. And this is because it's much cheaper than using traditional credit. And it also doesn't require a credit check. The application process takes less than 2 minutes, and your account will be funded in dollars or your local currency in less than 24 hours. Go to ledn.io/borrowing in order to fill out your application today. That's ledn.io/borrowing. Our next sponsor is the Bitcoin Way. Members of their team will walk you through proper 100% self-custody step by step so you can remove all counterparty risk, stop sharing your keys with third parties, and ensure you protect your generational wealth the right way. Schedule a free 30-minute consultation with their team at thebitcoinway.com/simplybitcoin. That's thebitcoinway.com/simplybitcoin. It's not just companies that are going to kick off this bull run. It's central banks. And for the first time in maybe forever, Jerome Powell had positive comments in order to say about Bitcoin and the banking industry.
Our role with Bitcoin really is to look at, with crypto, really is to look at the banks. And, we think banks are perfectly able to serve crypto customers as long as they understand and can manage the risks, and it's safe and soundness. A good number of our banks that we regulate and supervise do that. The threshold has been a little higher for banks engaging in crypto activities, and that's because they're so new. And we don't want to make the mistake. If you're making a choice to conduct that activity inside a bank, which is inside the federal safety net with deposit insurance, then you want to be pretty sure that it's a safe and sound activity. So we're not against innovation, and we certainly don't want to take actions that would cause banks to terminate customers who are perfectly legal just because of excess risk aversion, maybe related to regulation and supervision.
This opens the door for banks to begin buying, holding, lending, and custodying Bitcoin, which is another bullish price catalyst on the short-term horizon. And we also have the United States, which just signed its digital asset stockpile, which is causing a frenzy for Bitcoin and other assets globally.
Wouldn't it be fun if the next arms race was not for weapons, it was for Bitcoin? Wouldn't it be fun if the U.S. is buying Bitcoin and it scares China and Russia so they start buying Bitcoin, and we have an arms race over Bitcoin instead of over weapons? That we're as globally, we're challenging each other to have a secure store of value.
This is causing countries like the Czech Republic, which has the friendliest Bitcoin city in the world in Prague, to consider buying up to 5% of their treasury and cash reserves in Bitcoin. Some people like Christine Lagarde aren't confident that this is going to happen.
I think there is a view around the table of the Governing Council, and most likely the General Council as well, that reserves have to be liquid, that reserves have to be secure, that they have to be safe, that they should not be plagued by the suspicion of money laundering or other criminal activities. And as a result, I'm confident that reserves will not enter, that Bitcoins will not enter the reserves of any of the central banks of the General Council.
There's still people out there who actually believe Christine Lagarde or economists like Eugene Fama who think that Bitcoin will go to zero over the next 10 years. Everyone everywhere is waking up to Bitcoin because everyone everywhere is feeling the effects of inflation. Silent theft.
Inflation throughout history has been used as a pernicious tax because it's 1 degree removed. So people don't feel it directly. They sort of, and then the politicians will try to blame it on something else, but it's all about government spending.
And it's really simple. We don't want to work for something that people can make and create out of thin air.
Really, for me, it's no man should work for what another man can print. And so I don't do dollars strictly out of just principle. Yeah. I will not live my life and contribute my time and energy for what another man can print.
If they can create more, that will make you worth less. Don't work for what another banker, politician, or elite can make out of thin air. If you believe the dollar will continue to debase against Bitcoin, then I suggest that you come hang out with me and hundreds of other people that are coming down to Dallas, Texas from April 3rd through April 5th to the BitBlockBoom conference. There, you'll get to hear from some of your favorite speakers in Bitcoin, like Guy Swan, Parker Lewis, Marty Bent, Gary Leland. Learn how to buy your first Bitcoin, take self-custody of your Bitcoin, pull your Bitcoin off of exchanges, and mine Bitcoin at home, where you might be able to win an entire block like someone from FutureBit. Hang out with some of your favorite Bitcoiners in real life at the Saturday Casino Night and other exclusive parties, and you can do all of this with a single ticket. Get $100 off your all-inclusive ticket by going to bitblockboom.com and entering the promo code BBB25. That's bitblockboom.com and promo code BBB25. I think MicroStrategy could report $5, $10, $15 billion worth of profit next week. And this is going to kick off a bull market frenzy for corporations buying Bitcoin like we haven't seen before, and it's not priced in. I'd love to hear what you think in the comments. This is Dante Cook with Bitcoin Simply. Happy stacking.